Crazy. Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that we haven't even touched on yet. That's a big law that I tell customers all the time that no matter what happens, when your car gets damaged, you have the right to choose your repair shop.
Yes.
Your insurance company is going to occasionally make it sound like you have to get it fixed with one of their select shops. That is not true. By law, they have the ability to choose their shop.
Yes, they're actually breaking the law when they're trying to do this.
It's called steering.
Yes.
Yep. And they can collect fines for it.
Yes. The difficult thing is it is very hard the insurance companies have more money than any single shop is going to have. So unless there's a massive coalition of shops that get together, not a whole lot's going to change on that front. Because when you get into lawsuits and that kind of thing, it's impossible for smaller shops to go up against a giant insurance company or anything. And so they are able to still continue to steer and get away with it.
And it saves them a lot of money because, as we talked about, they're steering them towards the DRPs where they're paying less per repair.
Yep.
A lot less per repair. And that's because the DRPs, they outsource the same work to these PDR technicians, and these PDR technicians are getting paid way less to do the repairs, and the quality that comes out reflects that.
Yep. Because a lot of times those places, those guys at the PDR or at the DRP shops doing PDR, they are getting paid per car. A lot of times they are getting paid $500 a car, and so they're just trying to crank through that as quick as possible.
Yeah, it becomes a numbers game for them. That's more that wholesale side of the hail repairs.
Yeah, you see that with dealerships a lot. Dealerships, that's what they'll do. Because you got to think they have hundreds of cars sitting out on a lot. They all got hit. They do have dealership insurance and that kind of thing. A lot of times, though, they might get paid, on a fleet of 100 cars, they might only get like $1,000 per one of those cars. If you do it at a retail shop like we are, that's going to be $3,000 per car. Well, they can't afford that. They hire an outside company to come in and just say, like, here's the deal. It's $1,000 per car. And they'll do it a lot of times.
Well, yeah, those deals are usually done by PDR brokers. And like the day the hailstorm hits, those brokers will go into dealerships and DRP shops and that sort of thing and say, hey, I've got a team of technicians. I can fix X amount of cars in X amount of days at X amount at X price per car. And the brokers bid those deals down lower and lower and lower and lower. So the broker gets a cut, the dealership gets a cut, and then the technician gets the crumbs that are left over. So you can imagine these technicians, I mean, that's a huge part of our business, quality. The technicians that work on these cars at the DRPs and the dealerships and everything like that, they're working for pennies on the dollar to what our technicians are doing. And the only reason they're doing that is because they can't get work anywhere else. They're not good enough to walk into our shop and fix cars. They're not able to produce the quality that we expect. So they're forced to take those lower paying jobs. And that's where those brokers come in. They find those techs that are just starting out, learning the ropes, and they pay them nothing to fix these cars. And the dealerships don't care because they're still going to sell the car at a profit. They're probably not even going to discount it. Some dealerships even get paid from the manufacturer after a hailstorm to be like, hey, discount your cars. We'll give you, 50 grand just to get these cars off the lot and move them. So the dealerships just need them good enough to be able to sell them to customers. And then they'll even throw on hail discounts. You'll see hail sales at dealerships and stuff like that afterwards because they're paying nothing for the repairs. The quality's not great, and they're getting paid from different sides of things. So that's, again, what we're selling against, because you'll get people that are like, well, I had my brand new Lexus damaged. I'm taking it to the dealership. And you're like, well, if your car had a gasket issue or an engine problem or electrical, you 100% should go to the dealership. It's a new car. That shouldn't be happening. The dealership has all the trained guys on that car. What the dealership doesn't have is trained PDR guys. And that's the repair that's going to get done in hail. And then that's where we come in. We have the trained PDR guys. The dealerships are just trying to protect their bottom line after a hailstorm like this.
Yeah, exactly. And so just things to be aware of.
These are all selling points to customers.
They
You'll
are.
run into all these. And like I said, ultimately it boils down to trust, to tell a customer that their thought process is off. You have to really have confidence in how this repair works and how the industry works, and be able to explain that to a customer. Because again, it's following the money, right? Like if you think about that, like the way that I explain it, it's just dollars and where the money is coming from and how this industry operates that most people aren't aware of. Like, as you can imagine, I would be in the same boat. If I bought a brand new car and I had damage to it, I would want it fixed by somebody who just strictly fixes this type of car. Logically, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Once you know about the industry, it doesn't.
And it goes to that kind of there's a analogy. If you have a problem with your eye, are you going to go to your general physician? You're probably going to go there first, but you need to go to an optometrist.
Right.
You need to go to somebody who specializes in that thing. This is what we specialize in, is PDR. That is all we do, is PDR. And so versus somebody who is a general repair facility where they can do a little bit of everything, but they're not great at any one thing. And so that is where we can harp in and say, this is all we do. This is what we specialize in. I mean, and it's that doctor analogy kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it's a repair that's done by hand. I always like to talk about surgeons, because it's really kind of what it is. These technicians that go in there, they do these dents by hand, by, light and eyes and just experience. That's how that's how they're better. And that's why the quality is so much higher with us than you're going to find anywhere. I'm sure you can talk to this a little bit too, Brett, but when you're out in neighborhoods, especially like a month or two after the storm, I can walk through a neighborhood and just tell you where the cars were fixed at. You can see traces of technicians and be like, oh, they went to the dealership. That looks like a Caliber repair job. They missed parts. They went here. Like you can tell who fixed the car, which you shouldn't be able to do.
No, and at that point, you can go talk to that person if you want, but at that point, it's just almost for your own benefits. Like you're not, if they already went and got their car repaired somewhere else and you walk by that car and it was a customer you thought you had, but then they went to the other repair facility and you notice it was bad work. I mean, it's up to you if you want to knock on that door and say, hey, why do you still have dents in your car if you got it fixed?
Yeah, it's just a pride thing at that point. I can't say I advise it, but it is a little bit of a booster sometimes. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing we can do for that customer at that point. Basically, what we can do is use them an example as a neighborhood and be like, hey, let's go compare them side by side. This customer went to X company. This customer went with us. Let me show you the difference.
Yeah. I mean, another thing to chime on
Some of them are really bad. Like when Bondo's involved, I can just be like, just drive by. You'll see that car's got 2 different shades of paint on
it. Yeah, that one's kind of can be clear. And at that point, it's bad paint. It's bad Bondo. It was just a bad repair facility overall. But and in terms of, this is just a little aside, but we had multiple adjusters last year came and they said if our car was damaged in this, we would bring it to y'all. Because they know they're not going to go take it to a DRP shop that's going to do shoddy work. They know is the thing. And so we had multiple adjusters from different insurance companies saying, we love how you guys do business here. This was my car. I would 100% bring it here. And we had one insurance adjuster that did.
Yeah. We had adjusters that did. We had adjusters that referred their whole neighborhoods. It's always kind of a thin line because the adjusters want to be like, yeah, we want to go. I would use Universal, or I would definitely go here. But legally, they're going against their employer. So they're not able to say that, really. So it's like close friends and neighbors that they'll refer to us. But they can't just, when a customer calls and asks an evaluator, where do you go? They can't say Universal because we're not a signed contract DRP, for all the reasons we've mentioned on this call.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's
always a nice pat on the back when we get that compliment because it does mean a lot. But the business person in me wishes we could capitalize on it more. But anytime an adjuster refers a customer to us, which happens more often than you'd think, they're risking their job.
Yeah. But and that's the other thing is we have, and you'll notice a bit more whenever you get out to the storms and you see what the other hail companies look like. Okay, you will see tents pitched in parking lots, and these are the other hail companies. We always have a shop, an actual location, that kind of thing, not the parking lot of Walmart or Goodwill. And these are what other PDR shops are. A lot of adjusters, when they think they're going to a PDR shop, that is what they're expecting, is a tent. And so when they show up to our shop, we have a full office, like we have all the bays, we're an actual shop, and we know how to properly do things ethically. They are very happy at that point because they're not dealing with a sleazeball tent company.
Yeah, somebody in the parking lot haggling with them. It's
Yeah.
crazy, and they're trying to fight over a dent in the sunlight. It's ridiculous.
Yes. And you will see it. Wherever we go, there will be tent companies. It is.
And it's an important thing to notice too, because sometimes you'll get on a phone and you'll be kind of in the crosshairs where you'll talk with a customer and an adjuster, and you'll get this crazy attitude from an adjuster. And it is because they are picturing these other competitors in the hail industry that just aren't they don't have the integrity that we have at Universal. So it makes us great when we, compare side by side, but we still catch a lot of debris from
just the general reputation.
adjusters.
Yeah. Just the general reputation of PDR shops is negative for insurance companies. And so, and it's for good reason. A lot of these tent companies are very sleazy. They do things like, for example, will circle dents that aren't there. Ghost dents, we call them, to try and get more money from the insurance companies. Well, guess what? They're getting away with it too, because State Farm doesn't even send adjusters out. And so all they see is a video with a circle on it, and a lot of times they just say, "Okay, we'll write that." And
so
we don't do that. That's just we like to have some integrity, and
well, it just
so that is a real problem.
Yeah, we mention this all the time. Our reputation is one of the only things we get to take with us. So holding ourselves accountable to that is something we take very, very seriously in all aspects, our customers and how we treat the insurance companies. Now, trust me, there's a lot of days we wish the insurance companies would give us the same respect, but that's just not the way it is. You have to hold yourself to a higher standard than others will.